So people unfortunately have been interchangeably using digital marketing and digital transformation. Could you shed a little bit of light on that?
So first off, digital marketing is basically one of the major components of a digital transformation. It is a tool that is part of any company's transformation suite. So you can transform in many ways, operationally, organizationally, and of course, marketing is one of them. Now, when we tag in the word digital, there's this implication that you basically you put technology into it. You try to apply something new, either a new way of doing things, a new tool, a new technology. Now, digital transformation is broader, right? So we talk about transformation with respect to tools, we talk about transformation with respect to processes. Now, when we talk about a digital transformation, say in retail, we don't just talk about the look of the store or the screens, but we also talk about things like the customer care flow. We also talk about how customers walk through their journey through the store, and of course, at the end of the day, how to get them to buy more, what are their drivers.
So to cause them to an action.
To an action. So
beyond
it's
just
always
a click
driven.
and a share, right?
Correct. It's always driven beyond, and at the end of the day, the retailer will care about how much more sales they make on the store, how much product they push, and it's not just driven by things like because I want to share it more. That's a tool. It is essential as part of the strategy, but it's not the only thing.
I talked about digital transformation is not only about technology. So what are the other components? Obviously it's technology driven, but what else goes into a digital transformation equation?
Right. So in any general transformation initiative, there's what they call people, processes, and technology. Technology being one of the three main drivers. Of course, there's people involved. They have to transform as well. New ways of doing things, new business models. There are also processes involved. Again, your selling process, your customer care process, your discovery, how products are interacted with.
Discovery, are you talking about a customer journey towards discovering a product? Because we seem to be speaking the same language. In marketing, we do a lot of process discovery of that elusive customer journey. So tell us a little bit about that. If we're both about acquiring new clients or getting them to act on something, how does that figure into digital transformation?
Yes, it does, because with any customer journey, you have to start from somewhere, right? So customers have to know about your product, discovery. When they know about your product, you have to be able to acquire them. It's the same process at the end of the day, except that how we execute them, again, depends on industry, capability, budget, time, and of course priorities of the organization. At the same time, we have to rethink also how we acquire customers or how we do that discovery process. Part of this whole digital transformation trend nowadays is that you no longer have to do it yourself. A partner-based ecosystem is more common now. You acquire customers together, you support them together, and of course you build products together as well.
This year's theme of our president in the PMA is doing marketing in a VUCA world, right? So it's marked by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and anxiety being the new normal. We are now looking at technology as our savior, okay? More than at any time and at any point in history. So how do you foresee digital transformation bringing about a certain level of balance and maybe some balance to the force, so to speak?
Yes. So the nice thing about technology, it allows us to do things faster, better, cheaper, that we have not been able to do before, right? That's the main benefit of technology. However, technology also has the ability to distract us. It has the ability, there's so many options, big giant screens and nice interactive kiosks. These are all nice, but sometimes if we fail to consider what we want to do at the end, what type of process transformation, what type of people transformation we want, we get so in love with the technology, we forget that technology is not the only piece. Now, this is aggravated because of disruption, right? Any change, anytime we bring something in, there will be that, that risk, that change. And This the hard part of it all is, and any transformation brings change, change brings risks brings disruption. Technology helps you, but at the end of the day, let's not forget the people and the process part, because that's an essential piece of the pie.
So technology could be two-edged. It's double-edged in that it could help mitigate the risk, but it also could pose as the risk. I mean, imagine a mobile phone, immensely convenient, but at the same time, imagine all of your enterprise email being easily accessible by people other than yourself.
Yes. Now, of course, there are many ways of bringing your product to market. If we're in love with the technology and we forget to sometimes look at what we want to do, we may drive in and say, okay, I need to build an e-commerce site, a mobile website, where do I hire my developers, that's sometimes the default behavior. I want to build this facility myself, because that's what you would do if you would build your physical store. Saan yung location, saan yung store, what would it look like? But in the digital world, you don't have to do that. Maybe you could just resell through Amazon or resell through the Zalora, use their platform to sell your product. Slightly different approach. You did go online, but it may not necessarily be your store. Both are technology solutions. They're equally viable depending on the situation and how much your brand that you want to put in front. But again, two different approaches. One is much more simpler with much less control, and one which is much more control but more expensive and takes more time. So again, you could have easily reached the same goal by partnering as opposed to building it yourself.
We're beginning to see that in a business cycle, the timelines are getting shorter. Everyone's talking about fail fast, try fast. How does the time element figure into a digital transformation process, sir?
Yeah. So in the past, it would be costly to create a product, and that was the reason why you would invest a lot, do R&D, do market research, launch the product, and you'd have to stay with the product for a long time because of the investments made for that product. That's still generally true now, except that what is introduced here is we need to iterate the product, create versions of it, customize it a little more. And now, the thing with try fast, fail fast is expectation of the market is somewhere in the middle. I need some customization, but I still want it fast and cheap. So we need to iterate products, we need to release products as fast as we can. Now, in the telco industry, that's quite normal, and that's the space that we work in, that they would release products in 4 days, 5 days, create product, launch product, but also kill the product quickly. If it doesn't work, measure, and it doesn't seem to be working, they will kill the product quickly. They're not in love with the product too much. Again, you still have your base offering, your identity product you keep, but the iterations, you can create many versions of them, you can try them out, measure, then if they don't work, just kill them. If you spend too much time invested in a product that's not working, and objectively because of the data you have it isn't working, it doesn't make sense to stick to them for too long. Again, with technology, it is easy to get in love. Oh, I built this thing and I'm in love with it.
Same with marketing.
I have to launch I have to live with it for 1-2 years. Today we can't afford to do that because we need to go to the next iteration. Maybe the in thing today is unlimited, which is the in thing today, but tomorrow it may not be the case. Maybe more diversification of offerings, maybe the case of personalization or customization, similarity analysis. So there are many different ways of creating iterations of a product. The core product, yes, you invest in, but the iterations thereof, do it quickly. And again, it brings us back to a more, let's just say, it needs more measurement. You need to be able to tell whether it's working or not. And you have to be able to do so objectively so that your board won't kill you if you say, I need to kill the product because it's not working.
I think that's something we have with marketers. That's something we have in common with marketers.
So you have to measure, right? You have to say, okay, it's working, let's continue. Oh, it's not working, next iteration. So again, iterate, as we say. The more you try, the more likely you're going to get a hit.
And failure is not necessarily a bad thing in digital transformation.
Actually, failure, in education, failure is great. That's where you learn, right? If you don't fail, don't learn. And sometimes, in certain industries, you are in the bleeding edge of your respective industries. There's nobody to copy, right? If there's nobody to copy, you have to try. or else your competitor will try, and whoever succeeds will be the one to get the benefit.
Williams' digital transformation dogma is that technology needs to solve a problem and it actually, like marketing, needs to contribute to a social good. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, there is always an underlying real problem when we talk about digital transformation. It may manifest in different ways. Lower market share, stunted growth, there is some manifestation. But at the end of the day, there is a real problem that needs to be solved. That one can be commercial, can be etc. But of course, there's also this social good aspect. For example, when you launch a product, if it allows customers to sell their products nationwide, for example, there is that social entrepreneurial good as well, but there's the commercial benefit as well,
Like
to the
in the
e-commerce
case of e-commerce, for
case
example.
of e-commerce, for example. So in that particular case, yes, there's a commercial reason for doing it. There's still a real problem. But yes, there is this social good part where you actually allow people to become entrepreneurs. Now, in nearly a lot of initiatives, especially the ones that do well, there is that feel-good part. Again, things about being
good.
more...
Also,
do good,
right?
feel good, right? So when you do good, you feel good. When you buy the product, because this uses sustainable materials, or this product helps create jobs, that aspect helps as well. And not just in a market wash scenario or greenwashing scenario, but it actually does contribute. So some of the things we built, for example, they don't market. We don't see it in ads. A lot of the things we build don't even see above the line marketing. Everything is below, and it's targeted to niche markets. But they are used by
Even
a
public
lot of
school
people.
teachers, right?
How public
Those in
school
the
teachers
Pampawid program, for example.
get loans right now, for example. So systems are all behind those technologies.
Got it.
They're not as whiz-bang or sexy because they don't affect everybody, but say in this case public school teachers.
But it affects lives. How do you see the role of the chief marketing officer or the marketing discipline as a driver or contributor to digital transformation?
That is actually a hard question, right?
I
So
would- I would have thought you would say.
historically, we deal with marketing normally when you want to launch something, not need to promote something at the end of the day. But after working quite a while in this industry, marketing is a lot more.
Yes.
It's beyond communications.
Yes.
We think of marketing, let's bring them in when we want to launch the product, broadcast platform. But at the end of the day, marketing is also a tool for communication.
Yes.
Right? We get feedback from the market that feeds into our iterative process to design a product better. Not only do we use marketing to say, this is what we want to launch, please buy it, but we also like to provide a platform where the end user can give feedback, can say what they like about the product, what they don't, how they interact with the solution. We can get all that back as well from our marketing. Now, it's sometimes a different mindset because all of our above the line are one way, TV, radio, and print. They're generally one way, up, down. But now, it's because of technology, social network, etc., it's back up as well.
And
So-
it's become more about conversation.
Conversation with the customer, listening to what they need, and that in turn feeds into the process, which makes our products and offerings better.
And which creates a point of convergence with marketing.